What if I told you that 80% of your clients might actually be holding you back from scaling your business? So I had a conversation with a coach today who realized that 80% of his revenue was coming from just 20% of his clients. And the rest, well, it was barely moving the needle on the income for his business. But instead of changing his offer or tweaking the way he did his calls, I gave him a completely different piece of advice, one that could completely shift his income, and I'm hoping will shift yours as well too. So for those of you who are new, I'm Andrew, the Green Sheet Business Coach. I help people build value stack funnel systems inside of their business and create client converting content so you can actually make a profitable business. So let's dive right into this episode. Make sure you follow, of course, and we're going to dive right in with the story of how this came to be. So I've been working with a coach. He's making $3.3 million a year. He has 11 teammates and he's got 90. And when we're looking at where the income is coming from, because I requested this from him, he was like, holy cow, I recognize that basically 20% of my clients is bringing in 80% of my income and the rest of the clients are only bringing in 20%. He goes, I was speaking with my team and what we're going to be doing is we're going to completely change our offer. We're going to change the way we run our programs. And I said, well, pump the brakes, my guy. I don't actually think there is anything wrong with your programs. I don't think there's anything wrong with the offer. And he was like, well, what do you mean? And this is where we really got down into exactly what needs to change inside of the way he's talking about his programs. And what I mean is the messaging. It's really important, guys, that as coaches, you are completely clear with who you are speaking to in your messaging. So I asked him to break down the containers, and most coaches in their containers, similar to him, have different styles of containers, and they're broken down in three ways. So the first is like a tools and support container. The second is more like an active coaching container. And then the third container tends to be like a transformation container or a container where you have really high value clients where you're not like they're over the nutrition, they're over the training, they don't really care about the tools, but they're looking for other transformations inside of their lives that you really get to double down and like step into your best version of coaching. All of these containers that you have inside of your business as a coach, just like this client I'm working with inside of Coach to Coach, they deal with a couple of people at different stages. And if you're not sure what stage your program is speaking to or what stage your messaging is speaking to, then you're going to end up coming across the same issues that this client inside of Coach to Coach has, where he's having this huge split where 80% of his revenue is coming from only a handful of people, and then everyone else is paying really low and he's having a lot of retention issues with. So to break down these containers a little bit further, I call this people who are situation aware, people who are problem aware, and people who are solution aware. When you are coaching and speaking to situation aware people, these are people that are so early in the journey, they really don't have a vested interest in fixing their problem. They may not even recognize that their issue is a problem. Like, I'm sure we all know the people who have a lot of weight to lose, but they're like, you know what, like, I don't have a six pack, I have one ab, or like whatever. Oh, I don't have a six pack, I have the whole keg. They make jokes like that, right? Well, those type of people are not going to pay a high-level solution-based price point for your service because, let's be real, they don't value the service of coaching, or they may not be ready for the service of coaching. So sometimes when we have a low container, the container is really for base level people to learn tool, to get a fundamental foothold of what their challenge is, and then to get support in implementing the tool. The lowest level client is a client who doesn't know the tools to help them with their solution, who really needs a lot of support with implementing the tools. Like, they really need a high level of accountability to keep the exercises, keep the nutrition going. But the most important thing is they're really looking for education. Because the tools and the education on their problem is very readily available, it's not really something that you can charge a lot for. You're probably looking at $99 a month or upwards of $300 a month for a coaching container. These people are very low level people, and it's not that you can't coach them. The important thing to understand, though, is this is one of the earliest parts of the journey when working with someone through the process of coaching. Then you have someone who is problem aware. This is actually someone who's gotten to a place where they recognize that, like, holy cow, I actually have a problem. So using my weight loss example, someone's like, oh man, I've gained 50 pounds. I'm starting to have heart issues. I'm starting to sweat when I walk upstairs. I have a chance of pre-diabetic. All of these things indicate, like, whoa, now I have a problem on my hands. This is something that I'm actually going to have to deal with. And people who are typically problem aware, they have already tried some of the tools. They've tried the education piece and informing themselves, but for some reason, they've only got a certain part of the way there, and they haven't been able to fully get the total transformation. This is where they go from doctor to maybe dietitian to nutritionist, and then they're going to start looking for a coach. They're going to start looking for someone like you to be able to show them what they're missing, to show them how to shift the mindset so that way they can actually start to be on the way of full transformation. You see, at this point, people who are problem aware are the people who actually value coaching because they've done some of the legwork themselves. Remember, we're not speaking to people who are victim mode, who you have to like motivate every day. We're talking to clients who are self-led, clients who actively are working on themselves every day. So they recognize the work that's involved. And these people value speed. These people value tapping into a coach and getting the specific changes. And they also value the knowledge that they don't know because they put a lot of time and probably money into getting where they are now. And they want to just make that full transformation. When you get people who are problem aware, this is no longer selling the tools. Truthfully, people who are problem aware don't give a shit about what the tools are. What they care about is how you are going to treat them as a coach, whether or not your other clients have seen the results that they're looking for, what it's going to be like in the container, and they care about what the process of coaching is going to be like with you. These are also clients who, because they've invested in themselves with smaller level programs or entry level tools, they are willing to invest more. This now goes from a $99 to $300 a month to now we're looking at $850 a month, $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month for coaching because they value the end transformation. Now, in between situation aware and problem aware, those messaging are two totally different things, and you're speaking to two completely different people. The person at the beginning of the journey, you got to talk a lot about awareness. You have to talk about a lot about how the tool can help them, how the support is beneficial, why they need accountability. Versus when they're somewhere in the middle, which is problem aware, you're talking more to here's how the client's transformed. Here's what it's like through our process. You've already done the work getting up to this point, but you're just missing this. The messaging is totally different. In reality, you're still helping the same client with the same issue. Both of them struggle with weight, but the conversations we have on weight are completely different. Now, there is another level of container. There's people who are solution aware. People who are solution aware have already seen a significant amount of results. As a matter of fact, they've probably addressed the initial problem. But now they're looking for something more because they want to continue to grow. These people, these are the type of people that have a high level of trust in you as a coach. They've probably worked with you on other programs before, or they've been watching your content for so long, they're all in on who you are. And they value working with a coach because they know that a coach can help them break other plateaus that they've had in their life. Being inside of this container with coaching has nothing to do with the previous problem. It has nothing to do with the tools. It has everything to do with the mindset and embodiment work that comes into working with a coach in a more direct sense. This is tapping into how far the coach has gone, what the coach has been able to transform. And this is really like if someone says, ooh, I really like how this coach is authentic, how they're real. I like how their relationships are really strong. This is where the people in this container are going to work with you more on different personal issues, and they're working towards the initial problem. So remember, this person may still have, and I'll use the weight as an example, they may still have a weight issue, but maybe all they have left are the last 5 pounds. And they're like, okay, now that I've done the weight with 5 pounds, I want to work on my relationship with food. I want to work on my relationship with my partner. I want to work on my lifestyle. I want to work on self-love. These are other higher level problems that we only became aware once we addressed the initial problem. Now, a container like this is easily $1,500 a month and above. I have coaches who are charging $1,500, $3,500 a month because people at that level already are accustomed to having coaches in their life, and they probably are working with professionals and coaches in other areas of their life. Could be other areas of business, could be other areas of personal life, but they understand that tapping into your energy as a coach is something that is very important to them. So those are the 3 stages. You might have a container for only one stage. You might have a container for all 3. But if you're looking at your client base, like our client inside of Coach to Coach, and you're looking at this going like, whoa, a significant amount of my income is coming from very little clients, and all the other clients that I'm working with are taking my energy and they're not actually generating an income, then what it means is that your messaging is not consistent. Because one of the things that I tell our coaches inside of Coach to Coach is you want to be speaking to the same person at the same level every single time. If you are not, then you're going to get that disparity where you get the occasional person who you're like, oh man, if I had 10 of these, my business would be on fire. And then you have 50 or 60 other people who really sap your energy, and they're probably not the best fit for your containers. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't solve problems for people at all levels. I'm a big believer that you should have a container for everyone, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to work with you. So as an example, my container for situation aware people for tools and support is actually my Instagram, my TikTok, and my YouTube channel. You guys watching may not be in a place where you're recognizing the challenges inside of your coaching business. So you're looking for information, for tools, for ways that you can start to recognize what the problem is. Effectively, you're looking for education. And through the trainings, through our value stack funnel system, the client converting content, some of the other trainings we have on here, you're going to start to recognize what the problem is exclusively. And then you might decide, hey, you know what? Maybe Coach Andrew is right for me. So I choose not to have a container with just tools and low-level things or tiny guides because truthfully, I don't want to be working with that person one-on-one. I really want them to educate themselves so then they can be ready for the container. Or you can choose to just focus on the middle people who are just problem aware, who want the coaching, but maybe they're still struggling to implement the tools occasionally. Or you could be targeting someone at a completely high different level. It doesn't matter. What matters is the same thing that I told the coach we're working with. What matters is it's actually not the product. It's not the program. It's not the container that you have to change. You're not going to change any of the modules. You're not going to change the way you talk about things. What matters is the messaging. The way you were talking about the containers on your socials, the way that you're talking about your programs in ads, and the way that you're talking about your offers to bring leads inside. So what you should really be asking yourself are the same 3 questions that I asked of my coach. I was like, listen, my guy, who do you want in your container? Who is actually in the container and who do you want? Because that's the person whose messaging you've got to dial in all the way. And then the second thing you got to ask is, how does this container help them? You have to know explicitly how it helps them. Is it just tools and support? Does the container help them via coaching? Does the container help them grow and scale through more mindset, through more levels of kind of breaking barriers and belief? How does the container help them? And then you have to ask yourself, what is the structure or the products or the tools that they need to help them with this, so you can completely separate those containers. You cannot have a container that speaks to both people or multiple people. You can't have a situation and problem container or a problem solution container, because what you're going to find, like I'm sure you've experienced, which I've experienced as a coach, you might have people inside of a group container and there's one person who's not a good fit for that container. You're like, they're not quite there yet, or they're not ready for this space, or they're not the right fit because they actually belong in a different container, but you put them in there because, again, the messaging attracted them in that specific way. So if your income is not all coming from the same type of client, and you're finding that the top part of your income, you want to attract more of those people to fill your programs in that way, it's messaging you need to change. Stop fiddling around with your program. Stop fiddling around with the course. You actually don't need to change that. Focus on the messaging. Focus on who's in the container. Focus on how the container helps them. Focus on the process, the transformation, what they need to help with them, and speak to that. Speak to that specific person. Because as you do, it means that you're going to start attracting those like-minded clients, and then they're going to end up in your funnel. And then long-term, they're going to start to build more of that client base. And it doesn't take long. Within 3 months to 6 months of working with this coach, we're going to get it so that way it's completely flipped. He'll have 80% of it like high quality, high paying clients that he's excited to work with. And the other 20 might be clients who are renewing, who are transforming up. And I'll leave kind of the episode off with this is, it's okay to have different containers. I'm a big believer that you should allow people to grow with you. But that being said, if there's a really, really big gap, then you want to fix that quickly, because people who are situation aware usually take upwards of a year to get into a place where they can be in a high level container. So if your income needs to change now, focus on attracting the right person now. Then you can slowly convert these people into going from a smaller container into a high level container with everybody else. But I just wanted to share that message with you because it was really powerful for my coach inside of Coach to Coach, and I know it would be powerful for you. So that is all for this episode. Thanks, guys, for watching another episode of Coach to Coach. Stay tuned for another episode. I'm going to actually try to be doing these daily for a month. You know, again, bringing more of the Coach to Coach conversations into this YouTube channel. So give me a thumbs up or drop a comment down below, like what you took from this episode. If you would love to see daily content, I'm probably just going to do it anyways because I'm like, F it, why not? Let's go all in. But Coach Andrew out. Thanks for tuning into this episode. We will catch you guys later. See ya. Bye for now.